So, as a conclusion to this Prezi, I'd like to talk, first of all, about my favorite game genre, which I believe to be a mix of two. I would think the games that I used to like when I used to play video games were a mixture between action and adventure games, such as Donkey Kong, Super Mario Brothers. There was also a game that I don't remember when I was a teenager, had a Nintendo 64 that I used to play. It was a spherical puzzle with a creature inside the puzzle, and you had to solve the puzzle in order to allow the creature to come out and be free. And there were time limits. Those were kind of action adventure because you're either fighting an opponent or there are tasks that you have to complete. Uh, you know, Things like that, and they're the quick twitch games. But there's also that puzzle or levels that you have to achieve kind of um, genre of the action games. Could this type of game be adapted to a learning game? I think so, perhaps. I think the biggest difficulty would be coming up with a compelling story. In the Bioman game that I showed in my last Prezi, students had to shoot the different cell organelles in order to find out their function, which was sort of contrived. Um, and I'm not sure that it was completely engaging, but just trying to avoid the lysosome, since the lysosome eats invaders basically in the cell, and having to get ATP in order for the ship to keep working. Those were the more engaging things about that game, and that part of the narrative felt pretty compelling. So I do think it's a possibility. It's just difficult to come out with a truly compelling story. Perhaps that's just because I'm a science teacher and storytelling is not my forte, nor the forte of other science teachers who would be developing these games, perhaps. I've also have used a chemistry game in the past where students had to free Professor Avogadro from an evil mold. This is a chemistry game. And these were for practice. Students have to solve problems. After they solve so many problems, they can free a professor. So that was engaging. That was fun, mostly because of the graphics and the way that the story was told was funny. Um, However, that's been taken down because the site was in HTML5. Um, so again, this is a situation where the students are practicing content that they already learn and not learning the content while they're playing. So that's another challenge there. Um, Something that I think would possibly be interesting would be the MMORPGs with social play just for collaborative learning. If there would be a way to develop small tasks that lead to the bigger learning targets where students have to work together. I've read articles about teachers who turn their whole classroom into one year-long game. And that sounds like at least using some of those factors of the MMORPGs. My question about that would be how do we ensure that every student is mastering all the content rather than just being an expert in a certain portion of the content and then relying on their peers for the other portions, which in a way is kind of how real life works. I'm a science teacher, I'm not an English teacher, at least in high school. I specialize in an area and I just trust my peers to do their part well. Um, so, but nevertheless, that's not something that we can do in a course. Students have to master all the content. So, those are just some possibilities and some questions.